Hello everyone and welcome to Net Crypto, where you get important information and news about all coins and tokens of interest. And today we're going to be taking a look at Blockdag. This one is a scam. I've already highlighted that it's a scam by the second coverage I did of this video. So this is a very important video, especially if you bought into Blockdag. You need to watch it all the way to the end, because we are going to be going through multiple scenarios and the numbers so that you get to understand, if you bought into Blackdag, how much exactly are you going to be getting, right? And because the scamanomics are quite complex, right? And here we're not going to even cover everything, but we are going to cover the shell, right, to give you enough information for you to have an ego view of this particular scam. So when we say this one is a scam, it's not a scam in the traditional sense that they're just going to take the money and run. Well, they can still do that. But what we mean when we say it's a scam is they've collected a huge amount of money in the pre-sale, right? Once it launches, the price dumps. They already are sitting on top of the hill of a pile of cash. Some people might even make a profit, and you're going to know those people by the end of this video, right? So let's jump straight into the content, right? So I've put together the scamanomics of Blockdag. So one thing that you need to put in mind is these scamanomics are dependent, right, on an assumption of an investment of 1,000 into Blockdag, right? And on an assumption of launching on 1 January 2026, right? That's the example launch, right? To make it easy for us to calculate and look at all the numbers and everything that you have put together, right? So as you see, currently, shockingly, bid vesting is back. This is something that we covered in the last video, right? So what does this bid vesting mean? So if you didn't buy during vesting and you bought during the bonus 500, or you bought during the ridiculous bonus of 2,049, what does that actually mean? We're going to go through all the details, right? So let's jump straight into the content, right? So on the first one here, this is just an overview, right, of the price of the pre-sale. So as you see, we didn't go with all the prices of the pre-sale. We went with some of the popular ones, right, so that you know what is going to be happening. So for example, the first initial price of the pre-sale, I believe, was 20103. You can correct me there if I'm wrong, right? It was 20103. So if you bought 1,000 rand worth of Blockdag, you would have received 970 tokens, 970,000 tokens, right? No bonus. There was no bonus, or if it was there, it's negligible compared to what it is today. So you have these tokens, and the unlock schedule is going to be, like we say, we are assuming 1 Jan 2026 is the launch, right? 40% on launch, which will be 1 Jan, and then you are going to see another 20% monthly for 3 months, right? So that will be February, March, April. April, that's when you have 100% of all your tokens, right? And then if you bought during the no vesting pass, the one that we just did recently, I think it's about 2-3 weeks ago, right, where the price was at 2016, this is a best case scenario, right? This is a best case scenario, not really best case scenario, but it's one of the better ones, right? Because this means on 1 Jan 2026, you're going to get all the tokens that you bought, 625,000. right, at this price point. And then we've got now the crazy bonus of 500. We know that there were different bonuses. There was 100, 200, 250, whatever, right? But looking at the bonus of 500, so the bonus applies to everything. If you bought during the bonus, these are the biggest losers, right? The ones who bought during the bonus, because if you bought during the bonus, you purchased a tokens you purchased are actually 40,327 if you bought at this price point of 0.024. right? You can just calculate according to the price you bought. And if you are a channel member, right? If you're a channel member, you are already subscribed, you click the join button, you can drop me an email. My email is available to all the channels. On the welcome email after you join membership, you get my email so that I can do a report for you, or even a report that you can submit to the authorities, right? Depending on how this thing goes after it launches. And then I can do the calculations for you, right? Or you can just do them yourself. So you see, if you bought at this price point, you got 40,327 tokens, but then because of the 500% bonus, you got an extra bonus tokens of 201,000. Now, this is another scam, right, within the scam, because on January 1, 2026, you're going to be getting your 40%, right? You're going to get 40% of only the 40,223, right? And then you're going to be getting the rest in the 3 months. And then the bonus, you're going to get that after 12 months. That's January 1, 2027, right? That is if they've changed the scamanomics, but we are working on the information that we have so far. And then let us take a look at if you bought, likewise, if you bought at 0.027, right? There's no bonus. This is another scenario. There's no bonus. You bought at 0.027, no bonus. You're just going to get 36,200 tokens. That's it, right? When you launch, you're going to get 40% and then another 20% monthly for 3 months, right? So this scam depends on where you bought. Where you bought is very important. You need to understand at the time you bought, did you buy during the bonus, or did you buy during the no vesting, or did you buy where there was no bonus, like you're one of the early investors, right? Those are the 3 criteria that are there. And the biggest losers are the ones who bought during the bonus, because your tokens are going to be locked for at least 12 months. So same applies with the crazy 2,000% that we see right here, right? This crazy 2,000% we see, you get 33,000 tokens. You've got 666,000 tokens that are bonus tokens. And those tokens, you're only going to get access to them 1 January 2027, right? And then, of course, now we have got another crazy no vesting pass that is even at a lower price than the last no vesting pass, right? This is absolutely insane. It's crazy, right? So you see, if you buy now 1,000, you're going to get another 769,000. So actually, the people who are going to do better are the ones who are going to buy maybe now, right? And I don't say don't buy this thing right now. If you want to buy, wait for this thing to launch. You're going to see in this video what we're going to be talking about, right? Why I say that, right? Because if you buy at this current price point, you get 769,000 tokens for $1,000. On 1 January 2026, you get everything. Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? So let's talk about the sellable tokens, right, that you're going to be able to sell at the time of launch. Likewise, as we have already discussed, you bought at the face price of the pre-sale, 20103, right? 1 January, you'll be able to sell, if you bought for $1,000, 388,000, right? February 1, 194,175 for 3 months, right? And then if you bought during the price point of 0.0245, this is the 500% bonus. 1 January 2006, you're going to be getting 16,000, right? You can sell 16,000 rather tokens. And then 3 months after that, 8,000, 8,000, 8,000. And then a year later, 1 January 2027, you're going to be able to sell your 201,000 tokens. Likewise, same applies if you bought at 0.027, right? There's no bonus here. You're going to be able to sell 14,493, 7,000, 7,000, 7,000. And then that's pretty much it. This is actually one of the biggest losers if you bought without a bonus, right? I'm not sure if there was any criteria where you bought without a bonus in the last 6 months or so. But if there was, the people who bought during that time, even if it is a brief period, are the biggest losers, right? And then, of course, the no vesting is straightforward. You get all your tokens 1 January 2026. Likewise, if you bought during the crazy 2,000 bonus, right, you get 13,000. And then you get 6,000, 6,000, 6,000, right? And then after 1 year, you get the 666,000. And of course, those who bought like now, you get your tokens soon after launch. Now we're going to discuss 3 scenarios, right? So in these scenarios, we are going to be discussing an optimistic launch price, right? And the pessimistic one, right? And actually, the pessimistic one is actually and then the worst case scenario, right? Optimistic, pessimistic, and worst case scenario. And I'm afraid to say the worst case scenario is the one that I normally see in all the tokens I've covered. And I've been covering tokens for many years. You can check on my channel all the scams that I've called out, right? My voice is even aged over the years covering scams. So let's look at scenario A, right? Optimistic launch. So here we are assuming that on 1 January 2026, the launch price is going to be 0.05 and it's going to hold. That's a very important key because we know this higher launch price most likely is never going to hold. But let's pretend that it's going to hold. How much are you going to make, right? So this is the optimistic best case scenario. If you bought in the first price of the pre-sale or the very early stages before the crazy bonuses, right? you'll be able to make 19,000 straight from launch. You bought with 1,000, you'll be able to make 19,000 profit straight from launch, and 3,000 every month after that, a total profit of 47,000, right? So I believe that some people are going to be able to grab this, especially those who bought during the first stages of the pre-sale. There are a few numbers, maybe 0.01%. If you're able to sell like immediately, you're going to be grabbing a big bag here, but that's hardly the case that the price is going to stay here, right? And then we're going to be seeing as well, same scenario with 0.024, right? This one, no bonus, right? You bought for 1,000. Soon after launch, 1 January 2026, you're going to get $406. Every month, you're going to get $200, and then a maximum of $1,000, right? At the end of the 3 months. So this is a scenario where you bought, there was no bonus, you bought more recently without a bonus, you're just going to get your money back, assuming the price stay here. If the price drops from here, the case is going to be very different. You're going to see as we go, right? Okay, so now let's talk about also the case where you bought at 0.027, right? You're going to get $325 if you sell soon after launch, and about $162 for 3 months. You're going to get $800. So here, even if you bought at this price of 0.05, you're going to still lose $200, right? Which, for it to actually hold this price and to pass this price, you have to see a Binance listing, a Coinbase listing, all at the same time from launch. That's the only way scenario A is going to happen. Scenario A will only happen if straight from launch, Binance listing, Coinbase listing. That's the only way, because we know that the people behind this project have cashed out. If you are a member of the channel, or if you're on the master tracker, this one actually requires, right, the deep tracer level, because there are a lot of tons of crypto that have went in here, and you want to see exactly where all the money went, you need to join the deep tracer level. Or if you just want an individual tracing of your actual investment, you can just join the master tracker level. Or if you just want to just get some information, you don't really want to get to trace anything, you can just join the generic member level, right? The entry level, the SupportNet crypto member level, right? So let's take a look at this scenario. This is the no vesting pass MVP, right? Soon after launch, you're going to be getting 30,000. This is the best case scenario, right? Because for the ones who bought at the first price of the pre-sale, for this price to hold for 3 months at every release of the vesting, right, it's a far cry. But for these guys, the no vesting guys who bought at 2016, soon after launch, this price hold, you're going to make some money. So actually, the no vesting guys are the guys who are actually going to make some money if this price holds, and you're able to sell. Maybe it holds for like 10 minutes after launch, or some time after launch. That price, we see that price, you'll be able to make some money, right? So the MVP guys, the no vesting price are the ones at most. Okay, so now we go to the interesting 2,000%. Those who bought during the 2,000%, the price point was 0.03. You are only going to be able to make $267 soon after launch, and each month you'll be able to make $133 for the next 3 months, and then your total profit is $666, right? This is at this optimistic price point. So you see how bad this is, right? And you're only going to be able to sell the other tokens after 1 year. Who knows where this thing is going to be after 1 year, right? Especially with what we see here, they're saying X1 miners hits 3 million users. They say X1, are you mining? You're not mining anything. You're just pressing a button that is just changing a figure. There's no mining that is taking place there, right? And they are minting all the tokens, so I don't even understand what the mining that they're talking about here. Okay, let's take a look at scenario B. This is the pessimistic scenario, right? Pessimistic launch. So here we are assuming soon after launch, the price is going to stay for a while on the first price of the pre-sale. By the way, for the price to stay at the first price of the pre-sale is actually not that bad, right? Because we are going to look at the scenario C that we're going to look at right now. So if the price goes to the first price of the pre-sale, the ones who actually bought at the first price of the pre-sale, they'll be able to sell the 38 tokens, they make no profit. There's zero profit, right? So as you can see, everyone loses. Everyone loses except for those who bought on the first price of the pre-sale, because they're just going to be able to sell at the same price, right? And then if you take a look here, scenario C. So this is the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. So in the worst case scenario here, we're going to see, and what is interesting actually by scenario B, you see that the people who bought at 0.024, they will lose almost 100%. Same applies to 0.027. The MVP guys are going to actually lose $356, right from the start. They're going to be minus $356. We see everybody's losing money here. Okay, so let's go to scenario C. Scenario C is actually, in my opinion, the most likely scenario. A lot of people are going to be on scenario C. A few people, like I said, might be fortunate enough to catch that 0.05 price point, but majority of the people are going to be here. Worst case scenario, the token launches 50% below the first price of the pre-sale. This is the worst of the cases, right? So let's take a look, and the most likely, in my opinion. So you see the first price of the pre-sale, 20103, right? And soon after launch, you're already losing $200, right? There's no profit. Every month you're losing $100. Total profit, you're minus 500. Like, there's no money here. You're not making nothing, right? You lost. So here, you lost everything, right? So here you see here, if you sell here, you've lost, right? And then if you see here at 0.0248, right from launch, you're losing $391, right? Total loss, right? And you see here, everything is total loss here. If you bought at the no vesting price, you're losing at least close to 50%, right? If you bought at the 2,000%, you're losing almost everything, right? You're not getting anything. Everything is gone to zero. Can you imagine? You bought 1,000, you're going to zero. And then same applies if you bought at the current price point. It's almost close to if you bought at the current price point, which is the no vesting price, you're actually going to lose a lot of money as well, right? So you see that the people who are really going to be able to benefit are the ones who are buying at the MVP. They'll be able to salvage something, right? And those are the people who are going to have a chance at least of this scenario A. And by the way, the scammers behind this project who deliberately delay releasing some tokens, people will have problem receiving their airdrops, and it will be a huge mess. That's what they normally do. They create this chaos on purpose so that you are not able to sell. It happened with Qbetics, right? I covered that project as well. Even up until now, people are still haven't received their airdrop. So you see this price point, you can't benefit. Why? Because the scammers have not airdropped your tokens. Say, okay, there was a technical challenge and also so on. But when the price finally drops to maybe scenario C or worse, that's when you receive your tokens. By then, you've lost everything, right? So I just wanted to share with you this one. Let me know, what do you think? Which is the most likely scenario to happen? A, B, C, or D, which is even worse than C, right? And by the way, if you want me to do a review of a token of your choice, or you want me to generate a report that you can submit to the authorities for this specific pre-sale Blockdag, join the Net Crypto membership. You need to be already subscribed, of course. Join the Net Crypto membership. If you want tracing, specific tracing, or if you're not sure which membership level, just join with the first one. You can email me and we can talk about your specific situation, right? Whether you want a report or you want tracing to see where the money has been going in this project and all that, and you can let me know, right? And by joining the Net Crypto membership, you actually get a strategy, because making money in crypto is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Joining the Net Crypto membership is not a get-rich-quick scheme, right? But in episode 18, we're up at a profit of 700%, right? With our strategy, this Net Crypto strategy, it's a mature approach to crypto. It's not about buying in a pre-sale. It's a real mature approach to crypto. And by episode 22, we have gone down as the market is going down. We're at around 400%, right? Profit, right? But we can just explode at any time due to the way that the strategy is set up, right? So don't join the Net Crypto membership because you are thinking it's a get-rich-quick scheme, or you want to make some quick cash, or there's some sort of trick. It's a solid strategy, a mature strategy, mature approach to crypto, right? So you can join that, and we try to drop a video every week right, in there. So you can join, and after you join, make sure you watch episode 20, because that's the actual strategy, right, that we've got. So this is what I wanted to cover for this one, Blockdag. This is quite a crazy pre-sale, just waiting to see what happens. Seriously, the only thing that is going to save this particular project is a Binance and a Coinbase listing all together or within the same week of launch. That's the only thing that might actually save this project. And the biggest winners of this one are going to be, of course, those who bought in the first price of the pre-sale, the guys with no vesting. That is, if the price stay at scenario A, right? And we've got a Binance and Coinbase list, because the money is gone. The way that they are driving the money right now, they are saying 2,000%. That's crazy. Because 2,000% bonus, those tokens, as we have seen, you only get them after 1 year. Right? You only get them after 1 year. So the biggest losers are the ones buying during the percentage scenario. So let me know what you think. Right? So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one or in the membership section.